All right. So, guys, let's begin. So, today's lecture, we are going to study how to remove duplicate elements from an array. Okay? Remove duplicate elements from an array. This is the topic that I will be covering. But before I start with removing duplicate elements from an array, there are a few topics, miscellaneous small topics on arrays. Let's cover that and I'll come back to this. What is that? Firstly, see this here. Now I have an array here. Okay, let's assume that I have one int array x is equal to new int of 5. Okay. Now the size of the array is 5. I can store how many elements in this now? 5 elements. Starting from what? 0. So the first element I'm storing at index 0. You already know why index 0. We talked about that formula, what array uses in order to store the values. Now here it's 1. The second value I'm storing. Then I'm storing the third value. And then I'm storing the fourth value. And then after I'm storing the fifth value. How many values are stored? 5 values. Size of the array is 5. I'm storing 5 values. But suppose if I now write x of 5 and try to store 60. This is where you will get array index out of bounds exception. Again, you notice, even I've compiled the program, but I'm not running the program. But when I run the program, this exception will be seen. So this is again runtime exception. This is again runtime exception. So when I exceed the size of an array, you see that I'm getting here an exception which is called as array index out of bounds exception. Correct? So why are we getting this exception? Because you're exceeding the size of the array. Is this clear? Now, the next thing, I can get the size of an array dynamically by using length. Okay? By using this length, what I can do is now, I can get the size of an array. What is the size of array? 5. If I make it 500, x dot length will give me 500. I can get the length of an array dynamically with the help of x dot length. Okay, if I want to print the value now, I can use a for loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than x dot length. Can you tell me what is length here? 5. So what will this be replaced with? 5. Very good. I plus plus. Now I'm going to print here. I'm going to print here x of I. Is this clear? So the loop will run 0 to 4. Do you agree with that now? Do you agree with that, everyone? Initially, the value of I is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Let's run this and see. 10, 20, 30, 40, and then what? 50. Okay? So like this now, you people will print the values of an array using for loop. So before we start with removing duplicate elements from an array, some more basic things about arrays, you should all know this. Please write this program quickly and then we shall continue further. Oh my God. Very big mistake. I did not share the screen. Right? I did not share the screen. No worries. We will now. क्या भाई सर screen share please. Okay, anyways, ये क्या कमेंट आ गया भाई? सर shows your handsome face. और एक ने देखो फेस दिखा दिया नीचे. ये इसने लिखा क्या? ओके, एनीवेज बैक टू द लेक्चर नाउ. हमारी उम्र और आपकी उम्र। अब हमारे इसमें 19-20 का फर्क नहीं है। 19-20 का फर्क बहुत पहले था। 19-20 साल का। एनीवेज लेट्स स्टार्ट। I just missed here sharing the screen. No worries, very less information I've shared so far. Let me talk about that again. I'll create here an array, and this array I'm storing some value in it. Is this clear? Now, the size of the array here is 3. If you want to get the size of an array dynamically, guys, we can use this x dot length. I hope this part is clear. Okay, I'm repeating it again. So x dot length will give me the size of the array. What is the size of the array here? 3. If I write here 30, then the size of the array will be now 30. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll store some values in this array. X of 0, I will store 10. X of 1, I will store 20. And x of 2, I will store 30. Please observe, guys. Size of the array is 3. I'm storing 3 values. So there is no problem. Right? But if I exceed the size of the array, right? If I exceed the size of the array, like x of 3 is equal to 40. The size of the array, when you exceed and try to store the value, you will get an exception, array index out of bounds exception. This is again a runtime exception. Is this clear, everyone, now? Because when I run the program, I'm getting this exception. When I run the dot class file, I'm getting this exception. The next thing that I talked about was, let us print the value of this array using a for loop. I'll use a for loop. Int I is equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus. First, let's use a for loop in this way. Let's see what is the problem we have. If I now try to print x, you see that it prints 10, 20, and 30. But if I make the size of an array as 5, I'm storing 3 values. The further 2 values, the default value will get stored here. See, what happens in arrays is automatically the default value will get stored if I don't store any value. But now, since the size is 5, I'll have to change this to 5. So what it will print? 10, 20, 30, 0, and 0. If you do not initialize an array, then it will start printing by default the value that is 0. Did you understand now? See, if I don't initialize at all anything, let me comment this all, select all, control / comment all, everything is 0. But if I now make it as 50, then I need to change my for loop to 50. Rather, we can replace this with x dot length. By doing this now, you need not worry about the for loop iterations. Depending on the size of array, the for loop will automatically run depending on the size of what? Array. So let's run 50 times it will print 0. It's taking the default value. Same way, if I now just write here 3, what is it going to print now? 10, 20, and 30. Did you all get this now? Students, where I forgot to share the screen. Now, I hope you people are all clear with it. Yeah? Please write this down quickly. Make a note of it, guys. Okay? Write this down. हाँ हाँ हाँ, तो फर्स्ट 0 होगा ना, यहां पे इंक्रीमेंट नहीं होगा। आई प्लस प्लस नहीं पढ़ा है? पढ़ा है ना मैंने? हाँ, यूनिट आपने नहीं पढ़ा है? अच्छा, एक काम करो, आप क्या करिए, ऑनलाइन go to my YouTube channel. Okay, it's very simple concept. I'll give you this assignment right away. You just go to my YouTube channel. Let's type here. Okay, today you do this one. It'll just take 25 minutes for you to learn this now. Go to our YouTube channel. And here, you will observe that there is unary operators, one playlist I've created. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 videos. After watching these 5 videos, that's it. You will have complete idea about unary operators. Will you do that? How many videos are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unary operators in Java. Okay, there's a playlist. Just cover that one. यूनरी ऑपरेटर्स कुछ चेंज नहीं हुआ है, जो 6 साल पहले पढ़ा हुआ अभी भी वही है. ठीक है, इट्स नॉट सम लेटेस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट इन जावा. भले ही मैंने 6 साल लिया हुआ है यहाँ पे, 6 years अगो वीडियो इट इज. 6 साल पहले मतलब 2019 2019 का वीडियो है, बट यू कैन स्टिल learn from that. Okay, 100% it's the same video. Is this clear everyone? Okay, right. Now let's continue further. Huh? What is length? Length is basically a variable here. Sir, how did you know it's a variable? See, am I using parenthesis? No. I am using X. What is X holding? Object's address. Though it is an array object, it is object's address. Using object's address, I am calling length. So obviously length will become non-static. Since there's no parenthesis, it's a variable. Is this clear everyone? Yeah? Online students, YouTube people, screen now visible? Huh? Screen is visible, I think. Yeah. Fine. Please make a note of it. Write down. It is built-in functionality which they have already developed it. Right? So there is a built-in logic written down which takes the size of this array. That's why we are giving that object's address to calculate the size. See, X points to that object. How many sections are there in that object? This length method will get that for us. Okay? It's a built-in logic. Okay? Everybody got it? Shall we continue? Okay. Now, guys, we are going to continue further and we are going to now look at how to remove duplicate elements from an array. Okay? Firstly, I'll cover the theory part. Everybody observe here. In order to remove duplicate elements from an array, there are different ways to do it. But I'll be using one of the simplest way to remove duplicate elements from interview point of view. In fact, I can remove duplicate elements in one line. But we will not do that. We will build simple logic because in interview they're asking, give me logic to remove duplicate elements. So firstly, let's assume that this array has some duplicate elements, but they are sorted. Sorted means they're in sequence. First 3, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 5, then 6. Okay, so I have here the values which are repeated, right? There are duplicate values. But the logic that I'm going to now teach you is something applicable on an array which is sorted. Sorted means element should be in sequence. First 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Okay, otherwise this logic will not work. So what if it is not sorted? Then we will learn how to sort an array next. But for now, we have an array which has duplicate elements and the elements are sorted. So this is our array. Let's see the steps to remove the duplicate elements. Firstly, the theory of it. Once the theory is clear, we should be able to write the programs quickly. Fine. Now these are the index of this array, 0. This is the index of this array, 1. Then it is 2. Then it is 3. Then 4. And then 5. Fine. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then what? 5. Let me call this array as X. This array, I will call that as what? X. We'll call this array as what? X. Now first step number 1. In order to remove the duplicate element, step number 1 is create an array of same size that of x. Create an array of same size that of x. What is the size of x? 6. Size of x is 6. Create another array such that the size of that array is what? 6. So I will create another array. Okay. And that array, I would call that as temp. That array, I would call that as what? Temp. Let me name this array as temp. Fine. And this array size is same, but I'm not initializing this array with any value. If I do not initialize this array with any value, default value will get stored. What is the default value that will get stored in it? 0. Then what? 0. And then what? 0. Then what? 0. Then 0. And then 0. If I don't initialize an array, if you just create an array, and if you don't store any values in it, by default the value will be 0 because it is int. If it is string, the default value will be null. Float, it will be 0.0. Okay? First step is clear. Second step. Second step is to compare the neighboring elements. You need to compare 0 with 1. I'll call this index as I. Let me represent this index as I. Okay? Let me represent this index as what? I. And let me represent this index as J. Okay? As J. Second step clear? I'm representing these index as I and these index as what? J. Next step. Compare the value present at 0th index with 1. Neighboring indexes you need to compare. Compare the value present at 0th index with 1. How will you compare? The comparison will be if 3 is not equal to 3. If 3 is not equal to 3. Is it true or false? This is false. 3 not equal to 3. True or false? False. Correct, because they are equal. They are not equal. 3 is equal to 3. They are not equal. False. If it is false, do not do anything. Now what do you do? Next, compare the next neighboring element. 1 with 2. Compare 1 with 2. Can you tell me what is the value at 1? 3. Not equal to 4. True or false? It is true. Now when upon comparing the neighboring elements, if it is true, copy the value from index I. See, when I'm doing the comparison, if this is I, this will become I plus 1. If this is I represent this as I, then this value is, do you agree with that? Yes. Now if I make this variable as I, then this will become I plus 2. Okay, everybody clear with this part? So I'm comparing now I with I plus 1. I'm comparing 1 with 2. I with I plus 1. Now when I compare, it's true. When it is true, copy the value from index I to index j. Copy the value from index I to index j and then increment j by 1. After copying the value, increment j by 1. Again, the steps will get repeated. Carefully listen. Okay? Next, I will now compare again I with I plus 1, neighboring elements. I'm comparing 2 with 3. What am I comparing here now? I'm comparing 4, which is not equal to 5. True or false? It is true. If it is true, then copy the value from index I. What is present at I? 4. Copy the value present at index I to index j. When it is true, copy the value from index I to index j and then increment j by 1. Did you understand now? After that, again compare the neighboring elements. This time I'm comparing 3 with 4, I with I plus 1. Let's do this comparison. 5 not equal to 5. True or false? So, need not do anything. It is false, so need not do anything. Is this clear? Next, compare I with I plus 1. Let's compare I with I plus 1. This time comparing 4 with 5. What is the value at index 4? 5. 5 not equal to 6. True or false? True. Moment it is true upon comparison, what are you doing? You're taking the value at index 5 and that value you're giving it to j, and then you will increment the value of j by 1. How many values are now copied? 3. But there is one more value that is pending. Right? Which value? The last index value. Okay, the last index value. So again, I'm repeating the steps and then I'll further implement more steps. First step, what I did, create an array of same size as that of x. Next, step number 2, represent this index as I and this index as j. Next step, compare I with I plus 1. Upon comparison, if true, copy the value from x to temp and increment j by 1. Okay? If they're not equal true, copy the value from x to temp and increment the value of j by 1. Now see the last step. When you reach the last index of an array, is this the last index? When you reach the last index of the array, simply copy the value to what? Temp. Without any comparison, whatever is present, the last value in an array, simply copy that to temp and increment j by 1. So, do we have now non-repeated values in this array? But there are extra zeros. We'll see how to remove that. So, what are the steps I performed? See this here. What was the first step I did here? Step 1. What was that? Create temp array, which is of same size as that of array x. First step is clear. Second step. Now the second step will be, okay, compare, okay, in array x I with I plus 1 index, and when not equal, what you will do? When not equal, copy the value to temp of j, and increment j by 1. Did you understand? Increment j by 1. Next, what is the last step? Last step is copy the last index value of array x as it is to temp array. Is this clear? Everybody got it? Okay, online students, did you understand the theory part of it? Please tell me. Okay, still it will work. Harsha, whatever you asked me, it will still work. Don't worry. Even if it is 6, 6 at the end, still our logic is going to work. We will show you that. Now, let's implement this now. Firstly, I'm going to create one array, int x. Now, I can create an array dynamically like this. Now, when I use a curly braces, what will happen? If I now write here x dot length, see the length is 0 because there are no elements. The moment I store here 3 comma 3, what will the size will become now? Correct? Then 4, 5 comma 5, and then 6. So what is the length now? Correct? So now I have an array x with a size 6. It has 6 elements. I need to remove duplicate elements from this array. So first step is create a temp array. Now you can use the square brackets here as well. Fine? You can use it here or you can use it here. Okay? Now new int of x dot length. Correct? What is x dot length? 6. So what will become the size of temp? 6. Did we complete first step? What is the first step here? Create temp array which is same size as that of X. Is this completed? Yeah? Everyone? Step number 2. Step number 2. Compare neighboring elements. I with I plus 1. How will you compare? A for loop. A for loop. Int I is equal to 0. I less than X dot length. And then I plus plus. Fine. And I will use one if condition. I need to compare X of I not equal to X of I plus 1. Okay. So how will this work? Let's see this here. Now I will debug this and I'll show you for better understanding. So I'm using a different tool, right? And I have here, okay, I'll create here one class. I'll create here one Java class. Fine. And in this Java class, I'm pasting this particular code. Okay. Inside the main method, let's paste this code. Not here. So I'll type here main and paste this here. Fine. Paste this particular code here. Which code? This code. Copy, paste this here. Now we'll debug and see what's happening. So we will be able to understand the steps slowly one by one. I'll put a breakpoint here. I'll put a breakpoint here. Fine. So program will stop here. And from there we can see line by line very clearly what's happening. Let me run in the debug mode. I'll teach you all debugging later. Okay. For now, just to understand this program flow, I'm using debugging, which will become easier for you to understand. Okay. So let's run this. Program will stop at line number 8. What happened? Something went wrong. Let's right click, debug. Oh, there's some other issue. No, this is what the error I wanted to show you. But I know that's array index out of bound exception. It has to show. But now that is what we want to see in debug. Okay. Now see here. Now when I move further, can you tell me what is the value of I? If I is 0, this will become 1. You're comparing 0 with 1. What is 0 here? 3. You're comparing with what? Correct? So what it will become now? False. Now see, this is okay. When I is 0, I'm comparing with 1, no problem. Remember, the index that I have it here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last index is 5. If I give index 6, array index out of bound exception. Now the value of I will become 1. If it is 1, if I is 1, this will become 2. You see that? It is true. Comparing 3 with 4. True. Is this clear? Next. What is the value of I? 2. If I is 2, this will become 3. You're comparing 2 with 3. You're comparing 2 with 3. True. Next. What is the value of I? 3. If I is 3, this will become 4. X of 3, X of 4 is there. Now I is 4. So this is 4, this is 5. Do we have index X of 5? Yes. X of 5 is this index. Now I will become 5. When I is 5, X of 5 is okay. But 5 plus 1, 6. Do we have index 6 here? So what am I getting? Did you understand now? I am exceeding the index of an array. So now what's happening? When I is 5, this is becoming X of 6. I don't have the 6th index of an array. I'm getting here an exception. Everybody got this part? How do we resolve this now? So instead, let's do one thing. Let me stop this debug. And here, I will give -1. So what is the length? 6. 6 minus 1, 5. Let's see whether now this resolves our problem. Again, let us debug and see. Again, let us debug and see. See here now. Program will stop. See here. What is the value of I? 0. So now you're comparing 0 with 1. Any problem? We have x of 0, x of 1. No problem. Further, what is I? 1. I'm comparing 1 with 2. I'm comparing 1 with 2. There is no problem. Is this clear, everyone? Continue further. What is the value of I? 2. I'm comparing 2 with 3. Still, I'm not exceeding the range. Next, I'm comparing 3 with 4. No problem. Comparing 4 with 5. Now see. Loop stops. Did you understand now? Why I did length minus 1? Because if I don't do length minus 1, it is exceeding the size of an array and causing me trouble. Till here, everybody clear? Yeah? So, what is the next step? See this here. We have now created a temp array which is of same size as that of x. Compare in array x I with I plus 1 index. That I did. I'm comparing the I index with I plus 1 in x. That's okay. When not equal, copy the value to temp of j. So I don't have j here. Do we have j here in the program? So what I'll do now? I'll create one variable int j is equal to 0. Right? Temp is there, j is there. So now I need to copy the value to temp of j. And let's write here x of I. And after copying the value, increment the value of j by 1. Did you understand now? Let's see this once again. In debug mode, what's happening? Okay? Let's see this in debug mode, what's happening. Did you understand now? Everyone? See, there are much better logic to remove duplicate elements. But from interview point of view, we want easy logic to remember. Okay? Now, let's look at here. What is the value of I? 0. 0 with 1, false. If it is false, grayed out. No copying will happen. See next. What is the value of I? 1. Compare x of 1 with x of 2. 1 with 2. Not equal. True. If true, what am I copying? See here now. Next step. It's now copying temp of 0. See, temp of 0 is like this as of now. Correct? And the value of j is 0. Can you see that here? Now when I move to the next step, can you just see what happened to temp? The value from x of I got copied to temp. And now j plus plus. Move further. What happened to j now? Did it increment? After copying the value, I'm incrementing j by 1. Is this all happening? Now see. Next. Compare 2 with 3. 2 with 3. True. If true, copy the value to temp. Now j is 1. So 1 plus plus, it became 2. Did you understand now? Next. What is this? False. Then what is this? True. When I is 4. What is 4? 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. When I is 4, I plus 1. 5 and 6 not equal. True. So it is now copying which value? 5. Correct? And after that, the loop stops. Which means it copied only 3, 4, and 5. 6 was not copied. Do you agree with that? Everybody, are you able to understand this? Online students? Did you understand this? Yes? Practice this program 10 times. Very frequently asked interview question. Open notepad. Write a program to remove duplicate elements from an array. In fact, I can do it in much easier way. In one line. But that's not the question for interview. This is only interview topic. Okay? Now, what is the last thing? Read this. Copy the last index of x as it is to temp. Copy the last index of x as it is to temp. How will you do it? So let's go here. Observe. Now outside the for loop. Okay, outside the for loop. How do I get the last value of x? X of x dot length minus 1. Correct? X dot length minus 1. Okay? I need to copy the last index of x. Is this the last index? What is the length of x? 6. 6 minus 1, 5. X of 5. I am copying x of 5 to temp of temp of j. Temp of j. Is this clear? Observe now. Let me put a breakpoint. See this again and tell me. Okay? So now let's run this. Observe. Okay. So let us continue. False, no copying. True, copy. Then true, copy. This already we have seen. True, false, true, copy. And see, after the loop ends, it comes here. Now when it comes here, what is the value in temp? 3, 4, 5. But now when I move further, can you see what value got copied to temp? But there are additional what? Zeros. Got it, everyone? So I have just removed the duplicate elements and injected to temp. Let us print temp now. How to print temp? For now, I'll use one for loop. Int I is equal to 0. I less than temp dot length. And then simply print here what? Temp of I. For now, it will print 0. I'll also teach you how to remove those extra zeros. Okay? Later, we'll see that how to remove that extra zeros. This much logic also, if you're writing and showing it on the notepad, done. They're convinced. There should not be syntax mistakes. Okay? Even if logic is 80% correct, that's okay in interview. Syntaxes are wrong. That's it. You're gone. That's why I write it on a sheet of paper. Practice. Why I tell? Because first, they observe the syntaxes. And many interviewers have heard. The online interview students, they attend from here. So sometimes I listen, interviewer tells, ensure syntaxes are correct. Correct? So syntaxes, if not correct, they will not see anything further. Writing code on a sheet of paper is one of the very important activity. You may not realize that now, but try to do that today. This program, write it on the sheet of paper and see how many mistakes you will do. Then you type. Simply don't type it in Eclipse because there is auto intelligence. You can press Control 1, try to find out errors and resolve. No. You have to type on the, you have to write it on the sheet of paper. Then you will realize, okay, मेरा improvisation अब तक कितना हुआ है. Otherwise, you'll be in an assumption, मेरे को तो सब आता है. And after that, in interview, you will be sitting there like one Gajni. Correct? I'm repeating. See, my job is to educate you based on my past experiences. Sometimes parents come to me, सर 6.5 महीने का कोर्स कर दिया, प्रोग्राम नहीं लिख पा रहा है ये. तब मैं उसको बोलता हूँ, प्रोग्राम क्यों नहीं लिख पा रहे हो भाई? बोलता है सर प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया. हर एक क्लास में इतनी बार बोलने के बाद भी अगर आप प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर रहे हो और एक सिंपल प्रोग्राम पेपर के ऊपर नहीं लिख पा रहे हो, मतलब ये यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर प्लेसमेंट्स. करेक्ट? आप वो कॉम्पिटिशन में है ही नहीं. Now that guy has now again started spending extra 2.5 months. He's coming in my evening class now. Now seriously sitting and practicing. Correct? It should not happen like that. You're wasting your time then. If you study along with the course that I'm completing, there's no issue. Anyways, I hope today's class was clear for all of you. I will wind up my today's lecture here and we'll meet up again tomorrow. See, I'll show you. See here. Now, somebody asked me this question. Somebody said, sir, what if I write here 6,6? Apply the logic with patience. Apply the logic with patience. See here. Go here. And let me run this. Apply the logic with patience here. Is it not removing? Dekho. See, what I'm trying to tell you is understand the logic once. Okay, try to evaluate the logic once. Okay, with pen and paper. Okay, then you will understand what is it. Again, I'm telling, this is not the best practice. Whatever I'm teaching you is only a simplified program from interview point of view. Now, if you want me to remove this duplicate element, I'm again telling I can do it in one line. I need not do so much of circus. I'll always try to reduce the number of lines of code in my project for better performance. Yes or no? Why should I write 10 lines of code when I can do that in one line? But we will not talk about that as of now. Okay, basic classes do this. When we move to the advanced classes, project work, Spring Boot, Hibernate, Stream API, collection concept, your way of thinking will differ. Okay, there will be flaws, there will be flaws, there will be performance issues. We are not bothered about it. What is the question asked in the interview? भैया अरे से डुप्लीकेट एलिमेंट को कैसे हटाओगे? सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, आपको प्रोग्राम लिखना है, बताना है, मैडम हो गया. Okay, don't make it complex. Later I will show you how to do this in one line. Fine, that's it guys, bye bye. हाँ, लाइन नंबर. अगर नहीं करेंगे तो लास्ट वैल्यू कॉपी नहीं हो रहा है ना. That's what is the problem we saw, no? That's value 6 is not getting copied. The value 6 is not getting copied. Yes or no? हाँ, तो जब फॉल्स है तो कॉपी क्यों करेगा भाई? अगर फॉल्स है तो कॉपी क्यों करेगा? कॉपी तो ट्रू है तब करेगा ना. तो अगर फॉल्स है और फिर से फॉल्स है तो लास्ट इंडेक्स वैल्यू कॉपी करो एज इट इज, तो 5 चला जाएगा. समझे क्या? ओके, बस बोला ना, ऑनलाइन बच्चों का जोश खत्म. ये होता है. अभी जैसे ही 3 महीने के क्लास में हम बढ़ेंगे आगे, अब लगेगा कि पढ़ना है या नहीं आगे. क्योंकि वो जोश सिर्फ 15 दिन रहता है आप लोगों के लिए. जोश एंड तक रहना चाहिए. ओके, कंसिस्टेंसी, लर्निंग एंथुजियाज्म टिल दी एंड, सेम कंसिस्टेंसी, तब जाके जॉब लगेगी. ओके, देखो स्टार्टिंग में जैसे ही मैं बोलता समझ आओ, यस सर यस सर यस सर, अब देखो 3 बार पूछने के बाद सोच रहे यस लिखूं या नहीं लिखूं. ओके, इज दिस क्लियर? ओके, बाय गाइस, टेक केयर. हमें देखिए सिंपल लॉजिक चाहिए. मैं फिर